beat up old SG
Yeah.
back in the back that's just been abused and can't.
Poor thing.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah,
it's a good thing to.
We gave up trying to fix it and just said, let's just start over and make a new one.
Somebody ground that down so far that it's too thin to even call it an SG anymore.
Yeah.
It's relatively the right shape.
Relatively.
Relatively.
I think there's about a half pound of mahogany missing off that guitar.
It took some abuse for sure. Oh my goodness.
Just goes to show you how guitar players are constantly experimenting with stuff.
They are. If you and we actually
Some of their experiments are pretty bad.
Well, yeah,
Some of them
and
are pretty good.
Again, go back to episodes because we talk about that green nasty machine that came in here that had the what it was it's called the leisure suit of paint jobs is what we call it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That green polyester paint that just melted.
That was bad.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. Talk to people like Bruce. Bruce knows what he's doing, man. Don't go crazy on your guitar. Talk to Bruce. He'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, at
and what
least,
not
you
to
know
do,
what?
man.
It's I don't charge for the knowledge that I've got, so it never hurts to ask somebody who's done it a couple of times, and then at least you can avoid a few of the pitfalls.
That's exactly right.
Because that fella really he took a bad turn in my opinion by grabbing a right angle grinder and going at his guitar, and of course he screwed up the body shape of a few things, and that was totally avoidable.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary.
Absolutely. And the thing is this. I just want to say this. I have been in logistics for 34 years, in business in 34 years, sales and operations, etc. I've always held myself to the standard of I will help people out, right?
Sure.
And if I can't do it, I'll tell them who can.
Right. No, I'm
Right?
same way.
I'm never going to lie to somebody and do that. And in the
Well, I might
6-7 years I've known you're the same way. I've had plenty of people. I've seen plenty of people come in here. I've been in here enough times and heard you on the phone or somebody walk in here where you could have easily sold them something.
Well,
but it wasn't what they were looking for, and they probably weren't going to be
Right.
happy in a week, and you
Well,
steered
it was
them the
like-
right way.
It just about 30, 40 minutes ago, well, maybe an hour ago now, but this guy walked in with a Telecaster, and he,
Yeah.
and Telecasters, have a certain kind of jack cup.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously had something that was designed similar to a football-shaped plate with 2 screws on the outside.
Oh, okay.
So somebody had drilled into this guitar already, and the whole thing was missing: the jack, everything, the plate. And I'm like, okay, so I can do one of two things. I can either get you a Teletop jack cup and reinstall that, and you're gonna have to live with these 2 holes on the outside,
Yeah.
and I can do that right away, and you can walk out with it and it plays, or you can leave it with me for a day or two, and I can sit down with a piece of metal and make you a football plate and make sure it fits these holes, and then make it all pretty and nice, and the holes will be covered and no more problems, but
Yes.
it'll take me a day to do that.
Yeah.
He says, no, I want it done right now. But I gave him the choice.
Yeah. No, you got to give them that right choice.
Yeah, and we did it. We got it done,
Absolutely.
and he walked out in about 15 minutes. So
Very
he's
cool.
a very happy camper.
Very
so
cool. Yeah, I'm telling you, check him out. He's a magician. He's kept me straight. He's even he's not shy about telling you when it's user error either.
So they never even tried the switches and all the positions, but
Why
it
not?
was
That's
an
the first thing I
interesting-
did when I picked up my guitars.
That's
try
you know,
everything.
I'm the same way. I'm one of those
Yeah.
guys who's got a fiddle with the knobs, but not
Yeah.
everybody does that. Some people just turn it on and say, "Well, that's what it does," and there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I had a Mustang 2, a Fender little Mustang 2. You know those things they get, they
Mm-hmm.
have all the different sounds they emulate. And
Yeah.
stuff like, like 4 days just playing with all the different sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people they're really about versatility of a guitar, and other people are like, I can't remember how that even works.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when you talk about that because it gives you different sounds out of the guitar, right? And everybody's looking for their sound,
Right.
And it's interesting to me that and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me the better the guitar player, the less complicated their sound actually is.
Well, in a lot of cases, they're getting their sound out of their fingers, and they don't really want to mess with it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's there's so many greats. They maybe had one box.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of times it's
Eddie
very
Van
simple.
Halen? What did he do? He ran a phase through it. That's it, right?
Right.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about
I mean,
right.
he wasn't running a Boss or anything through there. He wasn't running any
Right.
distortion or anything like that. The rest of it was him, his Frankencaster, and his style and his
That's
amp.
basically true. Now, he did use a couple of odd effects on specific songs. Like he had this thing that was Nady jet flange or the Guyatone version of it.
Yeah.
Jet
Yeah.
flange.
Yeah.
It gets that
Yeah.
kind of a cool sound. And
But very simple.
hear
He
that-
didn't have a huge pedal board.
You'll
is
hear
what I'm
that on
saying,
several
right?
different songs. Right. No, he never had a huge pedal board. It was just guitar and minimal effects and a Marshall and wide open, let her rip.
I mean, like the Stones.
His tone was in his fingers. There's
Keith
no doubt
Richards
about it.
didn't. He didn't have a bunch of charts
Right.
that he was playing through or anything like
Right.
that. And most of the greats didn't. Now I've got a whole collection of pedals. I use like 2 of them. I use a custom job you built.
You're gonna find
that little blues one, the gold
Right.
blues one that you made.
Right.
I use that one a lot. That is an awesome pedal. And I've got
Everybody has
a
different
deluxe
idea of
muff
what
pie
works.
too. I got a deluxe muff pie
Okay.
that I love. Oh, and a Mesa,
Okay. Yeah.
which is great because I can't afford the amp.
I can understand
So
that.
I got the pedal and
Well,
so-
you know what? You bring up a good point because a lot of musicians just can't afford X what they'd like to get, X, Y, and Z.
I
So
love
they
that
settle for A,
Texas
B, and C.
Crunch, man. I love the Mesa Texas Crunch.
A lot of
type
them will try to
thing.
find that workaround, you know.
that-
How do I get to this without spending that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I've got a Vox C30, so
Okay.
it's clean channel, man. It takes pedals like crazy. It's just a beautiful, crisp, clean
Oh, yeah.
amp, right?
Yeah.
So you can do all kinds of distortion and loops and feedback through it. It just kills it. Excellent stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway.
when you've got good gear, you can tell the sound quality is just there.
Yeah.
And when the gear's a little less expensive, sometimes the sound quality just isn't there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: as like your Gibsons and your Fenders and your OEMs of the guitars, have they adopted that some stolen or not stolen but adopted from the aftermarket crowd?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious they couldn't ignore it anymore.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's another revenue stream for them.
Sure.
Once upon a time, their revenue stream was totally the guitars and the instruments and/or amps that they were making,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Aftermarket parts was not their deal.
Yeah.
But then slowly in the late 70s, early 80s, they started realizing, you know what? We can sell our pickups.
Yeah.
We can sell our bridges. We can sell our keys. You know.
Yeah.
Now, Gibson took a different route than Fender. But that's just company decisions, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everybody had a different idea. I remember buying a set of laid backs from Gibson. Now, what was silly was you couldn't buy laid backs in the guitar. You could only buy them in the accessory line.
Ah.
You know, they were P90s, but they were a little hotter than normal P90s, but they were called laid backs.
Yeah,
And they
that's
did that on
that's
several
it's
different
interesting.
models.
I'm just thinking through different, the strategies that I would have done had I been in the position to make decisions at Fender and or Gibson at that time. And I think it's interesting. One of the things is that you can produce. Here's this guy right here, the featured guitar today.
Yeah, right.
We call it a Telly.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
it's that shape.
It's that shape, right?
Yeah, so everybody recognizes the shape.
But Fender and Gibson don't come down on people by doing
Oh, well, they do.
that. Do they?
They do, but I don't know if I want to say this on air.
Okay, then don't.
But I'll put it to you this way:
Yeah.
the legitimacy of some of the trademarks that we're very familiar with
Yeah.
may no longer be as legitimate as they once were.
Well, is it a case of like there's in trademark law when something becomes it becomes known.
It
It becomes the product
public
name.
domain.
Well,
That's what you
because
have
it
to be
becomes
careful
part of the
with.
product name, like Band-Aid.
Right.
Band-Aid, it's not a Band-Aid. It's a bandage. It's an adhesive bandage.
Right, that's
So
exactly
everybody
what it is.
calls it a Band-Aid.
Right. Well,
Trademarks
see,
are good.
that's like a Coke.
Yeah.
You know, up north they don't call them Cokes; they call them sodas.
Well, down here they call them Cokes, but it's not a Coke. It's a soda.
No, it's a Coke.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's exactly right. Anyway, it's
You
not
see,
a Telly.
it's a goofy thing.
It's not a Telly.
It's a goofy thing.
It's
like,
a Takovich, but no, it's a Telly.
But and musicians are really probably the worst at giving things names.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to me.
Oh, we talked about it in the
because
pickups, right? The toaster.
Yeah, I mean, in
the
1959
soapbox.
Les Paul Sunburst Standard, they just call it a burst.
D'Angelico, New York. Let me tell you about it. There's a D'Angelico over here, and I'm not going to show it right now, but D'Angelico is near to me because I'll tell you what. Songbirds that was downtown had 2 D'Angelicos.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Aren't
And they had them, but they were from like the 30s or 40s.
30s and 40s, yeah.
And they were in a glass case.
As they should be.
side by side, and they were handmade, right?
Yep.
And they had the bill of sale, and
Oh,
they had a
wow.
letter signed to the purchaser. They're
Really?
custom made.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Okay, it was a guy by the last name of Krupa, okay, in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Wow. Very cool.
My family name is Krupa.
Really?
I'm sitting there with my daughter, Isabel, reading this letter, going, my family was in Michigan around that time, and also Parma and Cleveland, Ohio. A bunch of
Wow.
Polacks and Slovaks. Krupa was my grandmother's name.
Okay.
Or my great grandmother's name was Bella Krupa. So I called my mom and I said, "Hey, did you have an uncle who was a musician?" "Yeah." "Was he in Michigan around this time?" "Yeah." It's like, that's interesting. "Was he in Dearborn?" "Yeah." I said, I
What
might
was
be
his
looking.
name?
I might be looking at his guitars, and I took a picture of him and sent him to her. She's
Wow.
like, "That." She said, "That looks right." I mean, heck, it was,
Did he
say
sell-
80,
did he
almost
sell
80
it?
years ago or whatever.
Did he actually sell it at some point?
She doesn't
Was it
know.
stolen?
Yeah, but she has no idea. But I mean,
Okay.
the letter and everything was right there. Not even 100% sure it was my mom's uncle.
Sure.
But it all lines up, right? But anyways,